Hey everyone, I'm Eric. This is my wife Julie. We are the Blended Life, and today
we're talking about how to parent in a blended family as a bio parent. Some helpful tips, some encouragement, and just basically this one's for the bio parents. So enjoy.
All right, welcome back everyone. Today we're just going to get right into it.
Yeah, we're going to talk about this one's all about the bio parents, for the bio parents. So parenting help specifically for bio parents in your blended families. And this is a really great one if you're a step parent or a grandparent or even a co-parent in a blended family situation to listen to, because if it's always helpful to understand the people in your life, like whether you agree or not, having a greater understanding will help you show up and interact with them in a way that maybe would be more helpful than conflict creating. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So when we talk about issues that bio parents have in a blended family, it's interesting because I think bio parents get passed over. Like we always talk about the exes, or we're talking about the kids, or we're talking about the step parents.
Right.
I was trying to research this topic a little bit. I have a hair in my mouth. Sorry. And as I was trying to look up anything about bio parenting in a blended family, there's nothing out there.
Right. Yeah,
Really.
it's one of those things that we're always talking about. Well, it's usually because everyone's talking about everyone else. It's never about the bio person. It's always the bio person talking about the step parents and the step kids, and it's always everyone else's fault.
Well, it's like, look at how hard it is to be a step parent.
Yeah.
How alone you feel as a step parent.
Right.
Look at how hard this is on the kids and trying to get the kids to, we're trying to figure out the kid-step parent relationship.
Right.
You know, or we're dealing with each other's exes. But there's not a lot of, I don't feel, and maybe you would disagree, but when it comes to bio parenting in a blended family life, it kind of gets looked over, gets passed over, not really considered.
And I would say it's equally hard. Yeah, I think that's the big reason though, is because the bio parent ultimately has all the power. Therefore, they're the ones on the pedestal. You know what I mean? They're the ones that are like, well, I'm right, and it's the step parents that get pushed down or feel pushed down or feel belittled or lesser than, or
slighted. My favorite term when it comes to step parenting is and I have felt this, well, not really, I can't really relate, but all the expectations and none of the power.
Yeah.
You have all the responsibility to do all the things, provide all the things, show up for all the things, support all the things, love, but do you have any say? No.
Or and a lot of times no credit either. There's no credit given. Whereas that's where all the help and all of the, everyone's searching for things for step parents because they're the ones that feel it the most.
Right.
However, what we're going to talk about today is the bio parents, because the bio parents, I think, feel it differently.
Well, it's funny because in coaching, I talk to a lot of step parents, and it makes me laugh because I'm both a bio parent and a step parent,
right,
and a stepchild.
You're just stepped on.
I'm stepped. But what's comical to me, and I chuckle to myself, is step parents, what they complain about as far as the kids go, the lack of gratitude, they don't even care about me. Like, they don't even say hello. I'm like, welcome to parenthood. Like, I'm like,
didn't we just have this conversation before we left the house?
Yeah.
Just how.
But it's just interesting because I think that what step parents feel, they don't seem to understand that biological parents feel the same way.
Oh, for sure.
And so I want to come at our audience today kind of with the realization that because we've talked about how there could be this divide, like step parent and parent in the home. But I'm going to kind of challenge everyone to consider that if you're a step parent and a bio parent, you have a lot more in common than you don't.
Well, and here's the thing.
Interesting.
Like, this is exactly why we all need to get on the same team, because we are on the same team. So why do we all pretend to be playing for different sides where at the end of the day, this is our home front, this is our team? Like, why aren't we all playing for the same team?
And step parents feel, well, I chose to step up for this. Well, so do bio parents.
Right.
Bio parents also choose to show up and be present every day when they don't have to, right?
No, you know what? Really, everyone
who's in the kids' lives are showing up and making a choice.
Well, it's kind of, the bio parent and the step parent both chose to step into this life. Like, they chose this life. At the end of the day, it's the kids that didn't get to choose, most likely.
Right. Bio parents chose to have a baby.
Yeah.
And even if you didn't choose and you got pregnant, like, accidentally, or like one of mine was a surprise, I was on birth control and now I'm a mom, like didn't plan for it, didn't necessarily want it at that time in my life.
You called it an it.
I'm just not saying which child this was. If I use a pronoun, he, she, him, her, it will get.
It doesn't even matter this day and age.
So feels very timely. But no, but my point is, even if you didn't, pregnancy was an accident.
Right.
You chose to keep it. You chose not to put your child up for adoption. You chose to go forth in this parenthood thing when you really didn't have to.
Right.
So I think that this great divide between spouses in the home, and I know we've certainly felt this between step parenthood and bio parenthood, man, I don't think there's a lot of divide. I think that we all have more in common and can empathize with each other. There are some things that are different, but I think the things that are different are few and far between than the things that are similar. And the problem is when we focus on the differences, then that's how we see everything.
Well, and I think that's how the divide happens, is because most people focus on my child, their child, bio child, stepchild, or children. And it becomes your mindset. And I know, and I know a while back, probably about a year ago, I was like, we need to start calling them our children.
You've been saying this from day one.
And I've always been saying that, but it still goes to show that if we don't talk like that, it does not get portrayed like that. And I mean, we had just an incident in the house the other day. That wasn't a major incident, but it was an incident that like very, very clearly goes to show, because that's the way that the kids are labeled. That's the way that the kids get treated, even though we don't want them to be treated like that. Even though at the end of the day, we love all the kids, they do get treated differently. Like circumstances get treated differently. Does that make sense?
Right. And so totally.
Okay.
And so what I want to do is up front, before we talk about the hardships, and so bio parents don't feel alone, what I want to do is come up with this. I want to start with the solution. So if you're how are you showing up in your family? Because I've seen this in our own home. I've seen this with you in seasons of your life, and I've seen this with myself in seasons of my life. If I'm showing up like life is awful and life is miserable and nothing's going right and everyone's against me, no one's for me, and I feel very alone, and that is what I believe, that is how I will show up. And then that person is who's interacting with my spouse, with the kids, whether my bio kids or step kids. That is who's showing up in my ex's life, trying to co-parent. Co-parenting with a chip on your shoulder makes it harder.
Oh, 100%.
So if that's how I believe and how I show up, then I am going to manifest that kind of life, right?
That's such a good show.
But that is the life I'm creating for myself. If my beliefs are informing my actions and my actions are reinforcing my beliefs, then this is the cycle we get in, right?
Right.
So if I flip the script and I'm understanding, like, my spouse understands me a lot more than I think, because they're probably going through something similar too, and we are a team, and if I understand that, my relationship with my children or stepchildren is largely based on how I'm showing up in that relationship. So I want to be grateful. I'm going to focus on the good qualities of this child, or I'm going to pray that God softens my heart towards this child because really I don't like them. And so God, please soften my heart and create relationship here. Or, please heal. If there's hope and healing and restoration for relationships that are co-parenting relationships, right, that might be really broken. If you can come at life with a hopeful, helpful attitude, or an attitude of gratitude, and an attitude of what do I want? I want to be a peacemaker. I want to be a lover of all my family. I want to show up in love. Then that is the life you're going to create. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because that's what you put out. That's what's received.
Well, it's also what you're focused on.
Somebody who receives love is going to come. I mean, it may take time, right? But things will soften and get better.
Yeah, you'll break down the walls for sure.
Yeah, you're not part of that toxic cycle. And so it's really about all how you're showing up. Does that make sense? Do you have anything to add? I know you've seen me go through seasons like this. I've definitely seen you.
Yeah, every other day.
Today, yesterday.
Every other day. There's ups and downs for sure.
But what are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are that you are 100% correct. If this is what you're focused on, if this is how you're living your life out, this is how it's going to be. And I think that's why I do go back and forth, because I do have times where I'm feeling like this, but I also have times where I'm very grateful and have a lot of gratitude towards things.
Are you calling yourself bipolar?
No, but I'm also very aware of my surroundings. There's quite often there are times where I'm very down and I'm I'm in it, and I'm like, damn it, things are very hard right now.
Yeah.
This situation's hard. Something's not going right. But then I very quickly realize this isn't everything, and I'll pull myself out of it. Now it might not be for a few hours, but you've never seen me feel like that for days on end, or weeks on end, or months on end. Why are you playing with your hair?
I'm just letting you talk.
It's only been a few years now.
Giving you space to be you.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes things are
There's
very,
seasons
very hard,
of life.
for sure.
And it's easy. And I think that, not to get very spiritual or to get spiritual, but something that I'm in a women's Bible study, and something we talk a lot about, or we have been talking a lot about, is how the enemy uses fear and emotion to distract us from God's blessings, right? If he's cock blocking you from seeing
way to use God and cock in the same sentence.
God knows my heart. I'm not worried about it.
I would be.
Really? I think I'm okay. Maybe not. Maybe I'm just doomed.
Just messing with you.
But what's interesting is, and so it's everyone who knows me knows I'm very sensitive. I'm very emotional. So I've been really praying for God to guard my heart, because it's just how I'm built. But I think that the enemy uses that, right, to distract me from 100%. Blessings, to distract me, to create drama and conflict. And, fear is an excellent tool that the enemy uses to try to block you from blessings, to keep you down in a toxic cycle so you can't engage in a loving, meaningful way that's going to grow you and bless you, right? So there's a lot of that tends to happen, I think, in blended families, because I think sometimes, and people might be shutting off our podcast because I'm getting spiritual, but I think the devil has such a foothold, because when you're divorced and you're in a blended family situation, there's a lot of baggage, there's a lot of hurt, there's a lot of brokenness, there's a lot of room for him to come in, and, there's a lot more he has to play with, if you will.
If I will.
But what are your thoughts on that when I bring
100%. Again, it's what you're surrounded with and where you are, and it's really if that's what you're, kind of the message at church today was about that too. Who you surround yourself with is ultimately what you're going to get out of life, the friends that you have, take a good look at them and who they are, because the friends that you carry are quite often who you are, you know, and you might be different from them, and you usually are, but at the end of the day, that's your surrounding. That is your that's what's impressing everything upon you. That's where all your wisdom and your knowledge and thoughts and conversations all stem from.
Yeah.
So.
No, absolutely. And that's another way you can help yourself as a bio parent when you feel alone in it or you're feeling really frustrated. You need to decide, who do you want to be, whether you're, I guess this goes for any leader in a family, but we would tell our kids this too, like, who do you want to be as a bio parent, as a step parent? What are the qualities, values that I want to have? And then go find people who have that and go be around them, to go off what Eric was saying. This is kind of our church message. And it doesn't stop for our kids. We do that.
Right.
Or who our kids hang out with matters. Well, same with you. You grow in community. So if you're feeling alone, go get in community. Go find parents, biological or step, whatever. Find parents who are married and doing family life well-ish. I mean, no one's perfect, but go find people who have the values and goals and beliefs and morals that you also want to have for yourself, and befriend parents who are like-minded and like-hearted like that, and you'll feel less alone. You'll be able to get wisdom and discernment in a much more meaningful way that'll be helpful, not divorce that guy.
Well, the other thing
whatever,
is if you can't find friends like that, you're like, man, no one is like that around me. No one else is. Well, there's a good chance your spouse is. So maybe start. You don't have to 100% let go of your friends, but maybe distance yourself a little bit from the negative, the toxic people.
Yeah.
And pour more time into your family. Pour more time into your husband, your wife, your children, your stepchildren. Your ultimate goal for your family, your career, whatever is going to help bring your family up and make them wholer, if
wholer.
you will. Is that a real word?
Well, and if you're a married couple, I
way more wholer.
Sorry, I'm away
from the mic.
But I think that it's really important as a married couple, because your blended family is only as strong as the marriage, right? So if your marriage crumbles, you have no blended family. So I think it's super important for you to have other married couples who are like-minded, like-hearted, beliefs, values that you surround yourself with, that are going to root for your marriage. And this is something I don't think we understand how important it is, because when marriage gets rocky, you need people that are going to encourage you to support your values and beliefs during a hard time and not just abandon ship, unless there's abuse or something.
Mountains and valleys, right? Mountains and valleys.
Yeah.
Who's going to show up for each one? Mountains being when you're at your highest point and everything's great, and valleys being when you're at your lowest point.
So, but married couple friends, and it's interesting because a lot of my friendships, I have one-on-one girlfriends who are married, but we don't hang out as married couples. Right. I'm friends with women who are married, but we don't have a lot of married couple friends that we would go hang out as a married couple with other married couples.
But there's so many reasons for that. And are you aware of why that is, or no? Or is it I wonder why?
I think it's personalities.
Oh, really?
I think our work schedules and kids are really busy, but I also know that it's a void we have, and we've always had, where we don't have a solid married couple group where we would go barbecue together or go on a trip with our kid. That's something that I really would love in our life. I think it would be great for us. You're laughing at me.
Yeah, because I'm kind of trying to think of how this would actually play out and what it would look like. But at the end of the day,
just to go do stuff as families
but I'm also,
or married couples.
But what's kind of funny about the whole thing is it'd also be great at the end of the day, to be able to have this type of time as a family too. And I think most people in blended families can really empathize with this. Being in a blended family is very, 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 very hard to schedule things with, especially being business owners, having.
Yeah, but we have every other weekend-ish right now without, we could go do stuff with some other
We
friends.
could, but instead we're podcasting. You know what I mean? Instead we're going to church. Instead we're working on our businesses. Instead we're spending time just one-on-one because we don't, you know what I'm saying? It's a very hard thing for us.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's just a void.
yeah.
Like, you may not feel like it is or need that, but that's fine.
You like people way
Poor
more than
people. I just feel like that's what we're called to do.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, back to bioparenting. Kind of a little tangent there, but get yourself into community. Get yourself around like-minded people that will sharpen you and help you when you feel like you need wisdom and advice. Don't go to wisdom and advice from people who want you to leave your marriage, because you're going to leave your marriage. And it's interesting because I think that a lot of times after, like, what I get in from people who write into us, it's
you
like...
just get someone to write into us, like this morning.
I did. And we're going to answer that in a little bit here, but I feel like a lot of people get married and then regret it, or they get married knowing there's a problem and then don't like the problem.
Yeah, or thinking marriage is
going
to fix the problem. Do you know what I'm trying
to say? Like, I married someone who doesn't like my kids, and now I feel bad that I don't know what to do about that. That's kind of the email we got.
Oh, I see. I haven't read this email yet. Are we going to jump straight into the email, or are we waiting? I don't. Sure.
We can.
Okay.
All right. So here we go. A listener writes in and says, as a mother to 4 boys and married to a man who's not the biological father of 3 of them, so he's a stepdad to 3 of the boys, some days leaves me lost and confused. My 3 boys don't like their stepdad, and in return, he can't take their pushback some days and doesn't want to be around them. It makes it seem impossible to do family things together and to spend time all together. I don't know what to do or how to help either side. I feel very alone in this. Who, other than God, can I turn to who will understand and give me advice? They have been married for 4 years.
Did you just use your fingers to count to 4?
I did. I had to do years. Like,
okay.
Yeah.
Did she give us the age of...
They're teenagers.
They're all teenagers? And that is a very, very, very hard age. There's lots of varies in this episode. That's a hard age, right? I mean, just dealing with teenagers, because they're kind of set in their ways. They really don't want to be dealing with mom and dad to begin with, usually. And then at the end of the day, when they're not so stoked on stepdad, that's just one more element. But the fact that the kids don't want to be doing family things, or it makes it hard to do family things.
And stepdad doesn't want to be around them either.
Because of that, I'm sure. Or so there's going to be a big combination, right, of reasons why he doesn't want to be around them. They don't want to be around him. And at the end of the day, it's personalities. So Biomom here is really stuck between a rock and a hard place. This is
the number one thing I will say, bio parents. We're going to talk about more, but this right here is the number one thing that I feel is the hardest thing for bio parents, is being stuck in between your biological children and your spouse who you married and vowed your life to. Being in the middle like she is right now, because you love both so much. You want both to love each other so much.
Yet both are making you so miserable. Not personally miserable.
Go run
but
away.
Yeah,
just kidding.
No.
But that's how you feel. Like, bio parents are like, I don't want to be here either. You guys don't want to be here. You don't like each other. I'm in the middle. Like,
it makes you feel like crap. Like I have definitely been there and felt that, and no worse than when you're hundreds or thousands of miles away from home and you can't run away. You know what I mean? And you're stuck between all of this and all the drama.
It's really hard.
It almost draws you into a depression. So I feel like you can speak a lot to that, because that's more of a personal, this starts more at a personal level now, even though it's so deep because of her husband and her children. Mm-hmm. This now is going to get pulled into a personal level. Because at the end of the day, she can really only control herself and try to help the situation, but it's her that she's going to have to learn to deal with this, right?
Yes, and I think it all goes to mindset. So there's 2 questions that we ask in coach. Well, the number one question I would ask her is, what do you need to let go of? What can you let go of to get yourself to the next monkey bar, right? Like if there's a monkey bar, you have to let go of one eventually, even if you're jumping over 3 to get to the other one,
Right.
You have to let go or you're never going to move forward. So in life, with whether it's finances, business, relationships, parenting, co-parenting, if you have a goal in life, you always have to let go of something to move forward. It doesn't matter what it is. So maybe it's expectations, maybe it's finances, maybe it's letting go of caring so much. Maybe it's guarding your heart and letting go of the responsibility to try to control everything. Maybe it's, I don't know. But, you know, in any situation you're in, if you want change or growth, you have to let go. And so if you want to show up, how do you want to show up? The best way I feel that she could show up in this situation is an encourager. So let go of expectation. You can't change anyone, but I will tell you, like, if you ever see your husband showing up for the kids, coming to a game, making them food, bringing home groceries, fixing something that the kids need fixed, rescuing the kids, taking them for a ride, however the stepdad may show up in everyday life, if as the bio parent, you can acknowledge every day how your step parent, if you have a step parent in the home that's struggling and you're the bio parent, a great way to encourage change is just encourage and acknowledge what's going well. Always. Even if it's the littlest thing. Because when somebody feels like they're acknowledged and encouraged, they're more willing. It's like employees, if you will, which I know you hate that analogy because your spouse isn't your employee, but
right. But you're looking at it like you're saying, for instance,
right. So if you can acknowledge what's going well and be grateful for what's going well, thank you for going to work so that we can have groceries, right? Even if the stepdad is not actually step parenting, but he is providing on some level.
Yeah, I mean, he's maybe paying for the roof over the head or
fixing things around the house.
Exactly.
You know, giving advice, saying hi. You know, if the bio parent can acknowledge what's going well, acknowledge the things that are good, you know, stepdad will be more motivated, even if when the time comes to jump on an opportunity. He'll be encouraged and seen and heard to be able to latch on to a moment or like, because that feels good. It feels good to be seen and heard, and like you feel like you're grateful. I mean,
otherwise, what are we doing it for? You know, I mean, obviously other reasons, but at the end of the day, like that's the only real verbal way to communicate your gratitude in this situation.
Yeah, or just acknowledgement.
Right.
Like, hey, I saw that you did that. That was awesome. Mm-hmm. Or I really appreciate you go to work every day and you don't give up on our family. I appreciate that every day my boys aren't asked to you, that you don't leave us, because that must be really hard.
You don't take them out back and beat them.
But even acknowledging that, like you can't fix it, but acknowledging to the step parent in the home how it must be really hard to endure this. And I just want to say thank you for not leaving, or I appreciate that you're here, probably would go a long way to make someone want to stay and want to grow and want to make things better, versus if you're like, oh, this bums me out. I'm always disappointed in this person, or I'm upset and I just wish things were different. And like, that's such a downer. Like, I want to slip my wrist too now. Like, now we're both miserable and nobody wants to be here. And that's not sexy or happy, or it doesn't inspire anything but like, okay, well, life's really shit. Sorry. Like, that's just not motivating. Right. So I think as a bio parent, your best bet is to be an encourager in this situation. And with your boys, as a bio parent in this situation, there should be a base level respect. Like, I don't think you can force people to like people. I think connection happens or it doesn't. But you can be like, this is an adult in the home. I don't care if you see him as a father figure or not. There will be a base level of just respect.
Well, and also just reminding.
Yes, no, please, thank you.
And reminding the kids all this person does for them.
Yeah.
You know? And if you are this person, if you are the one that is getting treated like this and you feel like this and you feel like you're so alone and not recognized, maybe your spouse doesn't recognize you, your stepchildren don't recognize you, always know, like, how many stories we've heard of people that are now adults that are like, man, I was such an ass to my stepmom or my stepdad, and I might not agree with everything that they did or who they are or what they are, but man, I respect them, and I am the way I am now, and I really am grateful.
I'm one of those kids.
You're one of those. And again, like, it's not like you have a relationship with your stepmom now and don't respect most of the way of how she did things. But at the end of the day, you're like, man.
I appreciate that she took care of me. She showed up. She wasn't bitch to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She was fine to me. She took me places and, but it takes adulthood and maturity to understand that. So step-parents also need to understand that these kids aren't mature.
What is it? Your frontal cerebral cortex? The thing? It's got to mature?
Something like that. Something. But, and I'm going to say something right now to bio parents that's going to either blow your mind or piss you off.
Should I get the red button ready?
No.
Oh.
I'm not going to be mad.
Okay.
If you feel like you're in the middle, you put yourself there. Bio parents, listen to me. If you feel like you're in the middle, you put yourself there. No one put you there. You put yourself there. So maybe you need to ask yourself, what do I need to let go of to get myself out of the middle? And no, I'm not talking about your marriage. I'm talking about maybe you let go of trying to control everyone and change everyone and make sure everyone's relationships are perfect, because you don't have that power. And so you try to be peacemaker, and that puts you in the middle because you're trying to micromanage everything and make everyone happy. And I want my kids to be happy. I want my spouse to be happy, and I can't make them both happy. Well, that's you doing that. Nobody's doing that to you but yourself. So if you don't like being in the middle, and some people do, but if that's really hard for you, you need to get real curious real quick about what you need to let go of to take yourself out of the middle of that and realize that you put yourself there. You've allowed your kids to manipulate you in a way that makes you feel guilty, whatever.
Or your spouse.
But you've put yourself there. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's a big realization that all of us need to come to. Bio parents, step parents, no parents, whatever the hell we are. I think it's a realization that we can't control the other people. We can control ourselves, but trying to make everyone happy and be peacemaker. At the end of the day, if you don't like my kid doesn't like you, like, me being in the middle of it isn't really going to change it. Now I can try to help it a little bit, but at the end of the day, it almost makes things worse because now I'm highlighting everything.
Yeah, and this is one of the things I feel like is hard for blended families, bio parents, and it's something that Lori Short says in her book, Grace-Filled Step Parenting, is that the bio parent is the one who brokers the relationship between step parent and child. Now, brokering a relationship is very different than controlling or micromanaging, but I think that's a very big distinction we have to make. Do you understand the difference there? So, like,
yeah, for sure.
You do as a bio parent have responsibility to help broker a relationship, right?
Yep.
But you do not have the responsibility to make people like each other, to make personalities click, to make a relationship be what you want it, what you wish it could be.
Nor is it going to matter. If you force someone into a position or a place that they want to be, it's only going to last so long. If it's not meant to be, it's not going to be. And then you're the one that's going to be left with a bad taste in your mouth, and people are going to be mad at you. It's all going to come back to you anyway. So It might fix it for a little bit of time, but at the end of the day, months, years, weeks down the road, whatever it may be, it's going to be you with the stains on your hands,
Yeah. So how would you say are some ways that a bio parent can help broker a good relationship between their spouse and child or children without controlling, micromanaging, forcing, all those other things? Do you have any tips for people?
Well, I think one is, what you just mentioned a few minutes ago, but another one is, not besides
what
encouraging.
was the one I mentioned?
Encouraging.
Okay.
I think encouraging is one of the greatest things. But I think really kind of letting people figure out their situations and continuing to live life. So just because my son makes you miserable when we're on vacation doesn't mean that you should never go take vacation now if my son's going to be there. It's like, well, you need to keep living your life. You need to keep going through and not pretending like this doesn't affect you, but not truly letting it affect you to the core. I think you need to continue to live your life, because also if people are seeing that they're able to affect you by the way things are going, like a lot of times human beings will just use that against you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And so maybe there needs to be consequences so that feelings don't grow.
Right.
Like I think a lot of, and this is like a step parent thing, but it may be a bio parent, but I think that what happens is there's no concrete consequences. And so if there's not that, then feelings of resentment or bitterness grow up because of situation. And I've seen this in a lot of my life, just in different relationships with step parents and my mom, like just different things, like because there was no consequences for an action and it was just allowed, and like we just passed it over, put it under the rug, didn't really deal with it, and we moved on. It may not have affected our life, but it definitely created a lot of bitter roots and stuff that ruins relationships in the end.
Right.
So I think that is something to consider. But I think that maybe bio parents need to broker as far as like encouragement and provide opportunity. Mm-hmm. Provide opportunity and space to have connection, provide encouragement, but you can't pressure your child or your spouse into something they don't want.
No, but what you can do is you can be upfront and honest about how things make you feel, and let each party know how they make you feel. Let them know, like, hey, you don't have to call them out, in the time of battle when it's happening, but after the fact, you can go to each party, go to your spouse and be like, hey, this is not helping. This is, just like you said, kind of broker the situation, but let them know how it makes you feel and how it's affecting you. So you're not putting yourself in between it, but you are also not sticking your head in the sand and just pretending like it doesn't exist. You need to be upfront and like let people know how this makes you feel. Because if you just keep this in, you're like, well, my son hates his stepfather and vice versa. I'm just going to pretend like it doesn't exist and go on with my life. That's not the way of doing it either. You need to still show up and go on with life, but you also need to let them know, this is how it's affecting me. This is how it's, making me feel, and make them aware of it. Because if people aren't aware of something,
they're not mind readers. They can't.
Yeah. Then why are they going to change their behavior and what's going on?
Yeah. So that's really excellent advice. And it makes you a player, right? Like it makes you have skin in the game. Yeah, because it's not all about step parent, step child, where I think the focus is a lot on. It's like, no, bio parent is still here. I still have a say and I still matter, and how you two are behaving is affecting me. Mm-hmm. So either figure it out or don't, but this is not okay for me, just so you two know. And I love you both, but this is hurting me.
But no Christmas presents for either of you this year. You're screwing it up.
So back to the email of the listener who wrote in. She asked, her question is, who other than God can I turn to who will understand and give advice? Well, that's kind of how this podcast started with, you have to get in community. So get with other married parents, and I don't care if they're blended families or not. Get yourself in community with other women who are married parents, married moms.
Well, I'm going to throw out a shameless plug too. Like, you really want to learn how to do this and do this correctly and show up correctly, contact Julie. And truly though, because you could coach her through something like this and get her into such a better place than where she is and what she's feeling. And
Yeah, because coaching's all about habit change and showing up as the person you want to be, because your real power in anything in life is how you show up. Because when you show up differently, relationships are forced to shift. Things can't remain the same when you show up differently. Things have to adjust and acclimate to you. So that's what coaching does, and it's not about controlling other people. If I or anyone else could control other people, we'd all be like, we'd be on the Maldives right now. Not really.
That, or you'd be in.
What?
Anyways.
I don't know where. You're pointing, but
you'd be helping run in the country. No,
but like if I had the power to change someone, I wouldn't be sitting here doing this podcast for free. Like, I tell you that.
But here's the thing: is you do have the power to help people change things, and this is why you do what you do. This is why you're the professional.
It's the inner game.
But you also have this is what you do. You help people realize their reality in themselves and their powers, and teach them how to do this stuff. So it's kind of like this really this wasn't, if you guys are listening right now going, oh man, they really put this together well. No, we got the email for this was a topic we had already come up with.
This morning we got the email.
This email came through as a topic, and I found out about this email, or we found out about this email 10 minutes before we started this podcast. Yeah. So it's one of those that works in, but this is exactly what you do. This is what you specialize in, is someone who's stuck like her and needs to get to a different place and doesn't know how to do it. So besides God, Julie is your answer.
Yeah, I think coaching, and if anybody's ever interested in coaching or finding out more about that, you can email me at becomingheardnow@gmail.com. So becomingheardnow@gmail.com, and I can give you more information, and even I'm offering a free breakthrough session, which is just a 60-minute session with you. For free, and just to see if coaching's right for you. So coaching, or if you have healing to do, like past wounds, therapy is a really great option. I'm always get involved in a woman's Bible study. That's a really great place to meet people. But you need to get in community with moms who are married. And the reason I say married is because single moms are on a very different journey than blended family married moms. And it matters. It matters who's pouring into you and where their journeys are at. Not that you can't be friends with people who aren't like you, but if you're wanting to stay married and that's your goal, to be in this blended family, be around like-minded, like-hearted people as much as possible. And that's kind of what I mean, find people.
Yeah, I'm going to throw a little asterisk in there that your breakthrough sessions are free at the time of this recording. So as of right now, so if you guys are listening to this far into the future, because these do live on the internet forever. Yeah, as you, because you're getting busier.
In 2021, they will be for free.
Yeah,
that might change depending on how busy I get.
Yeah,
you're
as
right.
you get busier.
In 2021, I can guarantee for free.
Your breakthrough session free.
So contact me. But anyway, so who else can I turn to? Listening to this podcast and writing in, that's a great start.
What about our Facebook group? There's a lot of help on there.
Blended Life Support Group on Facebook is a great community of people who are like-minded, who are
and it's free
in blended families. Yeah, you just have to join it. You do have to answer a couple questions to get in. If you don't answer the questions, I don't let people in.
Reason being?
It's just a basic qualifier. I don't love looky-loos or people who aren't in blended families who want to be in it just for the drama.
Spam people. It's basically just to cover you guys and protect you guys and protect our community. Yeah. Because a lot of times you're sharing stuff. Yeah, you're being vulnerable, you know, and we don't want just
Yeah. So it's a great place, and I don't try to I let everyone chime in before I chime in, just so that people can help each other out, and it's not the Julie show. It's not the Blended Life show. That group we're all equals and all in it together. So I always allow people to kind of help each other before I chime in down the road. But anyway, it's another great place, that Facebook group, to join if you Meta. Is it going to go to Meta or is it Facebook? I'm so confused.
I don't even know.
You don't know.
For
Eric doesn't really do Facebook.
I'm not a big, huge fan of the Facebook.
And if you guys are on Instagram, you can follow my coaching account at Becoming Heard too. And that's just another way to contact me on Instagram. If you're not a Facebook user or you don't want to email, you can go follow Becoming Heard on Instagram and message me there too about coaching or whatever.
And you guys, and a lot of you are involved with us and chatting and messaging. And I mean, we're normal people just like you guys. So the more you guys interact, the more we interact, and the more it builds our community. So that's all, just helpful for everyone. So.
Yeah. So let's talk about bioparenting and all the pressure, because I think that's something that you can relate to with your step parent in your home, because I feel like step parents feel like they're also under a tremendous amount of pressure.
I think everyone does. I mean, the kids feel like they're under pressure, and they're being pulled in so many directions.
But bioparents don't really get that grace.
No, bioparents are the golden kids of the family.
You should be. You're should.
Well, yeah, but I also feel like bioparents are the ones that seem like, as we talk about it, like they've got everything in line, like they've got everything. They've got
it together. They're the leaders. The buck stops with them.
But a lot of times in a blended family, you have stepchildren, I have stepchildren. I'm a bio parent. You're a bio parent. So at the end of the day, like you see where I'm going with this? Like,
we're the same.
We're all the same. We're all equals. We're all playing on the same team.
Even though it doesn't feel like it.
It never feels like it, because we're always dealing.
Spiritual warfare. That's
we're
the enemy.
Always dealing with.
You think I'm kidding? The more I am learning, I'm like, we give a lot of power away to things that don't serve us well, don't we? Whether it's emotions or frustrations or, other people who don't have our best interest at heart, meaning the exes.
Which is so weird, because a lot of people don't have your best interest at heart.
Not even your children. They have their own interests at heart.
No, but at the end of the day, they're talking, again, at church, he's talking about your core group of people that, when you're moving, the people that actually show up and are in it for the long haul. How many people, you guys are listening to this, like how many people, if you're going to move,
who would you call to be like, come help us? And who would show up?
That's it. Well, and as they show up, are they going to stay till the end and get it all done? Or
just come for the free pizza?
Are they ones that are in the hurry and have to leave in 1 hour? And I'm sitting there like, man, I don't got a core group of people.
You have no people.
I got no people.
I've lost people a lot. I feel.
Well, but my core group of people is kind of because of me. Like I try to do everything myself. I try to be myself. I try to be the core group of people for everyone else, and don't really try to depend on people.
That's very interesting.
Is it?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't want to get into it on here because I don't want to offend you.
Everything offends me. I've been offended like 38 times already.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, but like it makes you, it feeds your ego, I feel, on some, but anybody does.
What? No.
Being there for everyone else and being important and being helpful.
That's how different
it serves you.
It doesn't. It does not. I am so worried about putting people out and making people feel used by me.
Right. That's different. I'm not talking about that. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about you like to be there for people. Oh. And that's not a bad thing. You are there for anybody needed you. In 3 a.m., somebody needed a ride. You'd be the first person anyone would call. Like if people really know you.
Again, that's not ego thing like that at all. I'm like,
just you're just perfect.
I mean, you can chalk it up to whatever you want. But at the end of the day, I feel like people aren't reliable like that. I want to be different for other people, not for myself. Otherwise, I would dress differently. I would look differently. I wouldn't be wearing a white T-shirt while with messed up hair. Like as I did my live yesterday on my business account. I didn't. I had just woke up. I literally had morning hair. I don't think I had even brushed my teeth yet. But it's
morning
not an ego. My point is, if I cared so much, I wouldn't be dressed like this.
No, doesn't it? You would say it doesn't feel good to help people. To be there for someone doesn't feel good?
Sometimes it does. A lot of times.
That's all I'm saying is
a lot of times it's just a lot of freaking work, but no one else is going to do it, and I don't want to be the same as everyone else.
So you have to go to the rescue?
So I feel like I want to be different for other people, and because we are called, and we're getting off topic here, but we're called to be the hands and feet and mouth and eyes and ears of Jesus, and I want to be...
Are you the mouth of Jesus?
Oh, my God. Okay, we're done, you guys. Thanks for tuning in to Blended Life.
What? I'm just bantering with you.
We're so off topic. Sorry, you guys.
No, but you're right.
We have no viewers. No one's listening.
Oh.
Everyone's gone.
No one's gone.
They're all gone.
But all the pressures of being a bio parent, like the buck stops with you and you have to be the one that fixes everything. I think ultimately the bio parent is such a tough spot because you do have a teammate in your spouse, right? Like that's the truth. But if a medical decision had to be made, a plug had to be pulled. You can't
make a medical decision as a bio parent or as a
That's
right.
Parent. So that's what I mean. So bio parents have like it's truly the buck stops with you. If you had to make any medical decisions or financial decisions or had to sign for your child, that's the bio parent and the bio parent alone.
Right.
And it's like, as much as in theory, it's nice that you have a spouse, I think it's really hard to know at the end of the day, you really do have all that pressure that your spouse doesn't share with you as a step parent.
Right.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, but they've got their own responsibilities as being a bio parent on their own end. So we all have it. But
some step parents aren't bio parents.
Right. But that's just what we sign up for. Like, I mean, some blended families don't have any bio parents whatsoever. I mean, that's just, it's the situation.
No, but I'm just talking about the hardships of being a bio parent.
Mm-hmm.
Like that can be a lot for bio parents to feel like they have all that pressure. They have all that weight on them. They have to be the one ultimately to show up and fix things. You know what I mean? Like if a step parent doesn't show up, you still have to.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, they're your responsibility, whether the step parent's there or not.
And in a natural family, you'd have two bio parents who would share that responsibility.
Well, hopefully. Really though.
But like when you're in a blended family, I think that gets once removed.
Right.
Like the step parent just really doesn't have that same call to action. Like if for instance, if our sons were both having a school event at the same time, you would go to your sons, I would go to my sons, and we would divide and conquer. It wouldn't be like I would miss my sons to go and we both be or vice versa.
I mean, some do it that way too, though, which we have.
Yeah, but don't you feel like that you have that pressure to always just be there no matter what? Because if you're not there, no one else is going to be.
Yeah.
And that's a really hard thing. And step parents feel like that can create issues with jealousy because they feel like they're pushed aside.
Mm-hmm.
So then you're dealing with like a jealous or bitter step parent spouse when you're just trying to show up for your kid because no one else is going to if you don't.
Right.
Have you ever felt like that?
Yeah, all the time. That's just, it's just your responsibility to do that stuff. So.
Yeah. So I think what you have is you have a bunch of bio parents who feel like drained because buck stops with him. All the pressure is on them. They're trying to broker relationships. They're trying to be the peacemakers, and they don't feel seen or heard at all in their families because everyone thinks that they should have their shit together. And what you have is bio parents and blended families who are depleted, who are drained and depressed. And that's how you're showing up for your family. So then it becomes like, well, how do I change that so that's not who I am for my family? Because that's not helpful for any blended family to have to show up like that. But I think that you guys just try to, bio parents, just take yourself out of the middle, be respectful for everyone. Understand that your step parent counterpart probably feels a lot like you do. And if you're a step parent listening to this, understand that your bio parent counterpart feels a lot like you too, and you guys are more alike than you are different. And I think that can bridge a lot of this separation we feel in blended families and kind of bridge a lot of that anxiety and upset that we have because we feel like no one gets us. I think your spouse, if you give them the opportunity and actually communicate, would understand more than you think, because I think that you both feel quite the same at the end of the day, and no one's really alone in it unless you make yourself alone in it. And if you chose someone who's not a good partner, then that sucks.
Sucks to be you.
Sucks to be you.
All right, you guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. We are The Blended Life. Grateful you're here, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.